All right. Well, welcome again to Live Lessons. Here, it's great a Tuesday night here in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. We're very excited to have with us legendary guitar player Johnny Hiland. Thank you, Johnny, for being here.
Steve, it's a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
We've had a little bit of a technical difficulties, but I think we're back rolling again now. And it's going to be a great night. There's going to be a lot of guitar playing coming up. You need to be logged in. Let me first say, this is also going to be a night that we're giving away a bunch of things. Giveaway explosion, I think I called it on our discussion board. So we're giving away all kinds of things. Giving away a couple of CDs, just a couple of Johnny's new CDs. Giving away an Analysis Plus, great 15-foot pro guitar cable. Johnny Hiland's signature wah pedal. We're giving away a guitar, giving away a blues chorus, all kinds of things. If you want to be part of our giveaways, and who wouldn't, because it's going to be a great night, you need to be logged in to us through Ustream. So go to ustream.tv and log in through there. And the winners, how we choose that is whoever's is logged in through Ustream. We pick some names out of there, and those are the winners for tonight. And so everything, we can ship anything all across the world except for the guitar. We can't ship the guitar out of the United States, so we've got to be a U.S. winner for that. Anyway, enough of these announcements. You guys came here to see some guitar picking, so let's go ahead and let's play a little bit, maybe just a little blues in A.
By the way, Steve, they'll have to fight me for the blues chorus, man. I'll have to. Cameron, you got Ustream over there? I need some help, baby. Yeah, man, let's take one.
All right. well, welcome to Live Lessons with Johnny Hiland. It's going to be a great night. I hope you guys are doing well. Let's give away something. Hey, I told you we're going to give something away all the time. We're going to give away a Johnny Hiland All Fired Up CD. Johnny, we'll get you to autograph that before
Absolutely,
you go.
man.
Some of Johnny's best country picking.
Tell you what,
one.
man, this is the best record I've ever done. I just recently signed on with Shrapnel Records in 2011 and cut this album with Stu Ham. And, of course, I know everyone knows Stu.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Colson from Steve Vai's band and Billy Idol's band on drums. And we had Jesse Bradman from the band Boston playing keyboards.
Wow.
And, man, I made them chicken pick. And, my goodness, we had a blast. I'm going to tell you. And, of course, the legendary Mr. Mike Varney producing,
yes.
it was a ball. He basically let me do what I wanted to do in the studio, and God love him for that. I had a wonderful time.
The winner of this CD is DTA Keizer. DTA Kaiser. So DTA Kaiser, you can email us at service@legacylearningsystems.com, and we will send that out to you. DTA Kaiser, you're the first one for tonight.
Right on.
All right. Enough of that stuff. Let's talk about Johnny. You are just. I'm so glad that you're here. I know we've interviewed a couple of times.
Yes, we have, man. We've had a blast in the past.
Tell us how you got started playing guitar.
Well, you know, man, I grew up in a real small town
in Maine.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you what, I was born with an eye disease called nystagmus, and man, it was really hard growing up that way, Steve. I couldn't play basketball or baseball like the other kids,
and how does that affect you, Johnny? What is that?
Well, you know, I think any normal kid that grows up in the U.S. especially, you know, has a monster love for sports. You know, sports is on TV every night. You know, whether it be a baseball game or a basketball game or football or, you know, so most kids seem to kind of go toward playing sports, but with me, that was not a possibility at all.
Yeah.
And when I turned 2.5 years old, I had reconstructive eye surgery, which they actually made my eyes look semi-decent. I wasn't cross-eyed, you know. But actually, my aunt come bringing over a 1939 J45 Gibson that had belonged to my dad's father. And, of course, my dad had trouble playing the radio, man. He, you know, he didn't really play much at all. So he was just totally blown away when I, you know, kind of gravitated toward that old guitar that just sat in the corner, and I wouldn't put it down.
Now,
and
did you hear
that was what started it for me?
So it was just having that guitar around. It's not like you had, you know, friends and relatives in your life that were playing.
Nobody pressured me into it. It was just a love for music. You know, my parents had an old 8-track tape player, and I found that I loved old country music. You know, Webb Pierce and Fair and Young and Merle Haggard and George Jones and of course, Steve, this is just between us and all the folks. Nobody knows this, folks, but I used to dance around the living room to Bee Gees records with a toy guitar. So it was the drum beats, man. That's what it was.
I know it. It was the beats.
Hey, there was some cool drums in old Bee Gees records, man. I got to admit.
Now, did you have lessons along the way? Did anybody show you the basics of how to play?
You know, man, there is a gentleman up in Maine named Billy Pierce who actually taught at Northern Kingdom Music, and now I know he's in Brewer teaching now. And but man, I'll tell you what, he was a GIT graduate, and he was a monster classical fusionist, you know, like Yngwie, that kind of stuff. Now here's a boy that's into Ricky Skaggs, Steve Wariner, Albert Lee, and I go to a classical fusionist for guitar lessons. Now, trust me, folks, that was a little bit weird at first, but he was the guy that really broke down the theory for me. In a way that a blind kid can understand it. Yeah. And I really still to this day I'm friends with Billy and just love him to death, man. He's still a monster, you know.
And then you found your way to Nashville.
I did, yes. I did my first TV show when I was 7, and I used to play guitar like Jeff Healey, flat on my lap with kind of using my thumb to walk the bass and that kind of thing. Yeah. And at 10 years old, I started to play the proper way, and by 13, Billy was teaching me. And then after 3 years at the University of Southern Maine, I moved to Nashville. And man,
that was how many years ago?
Oh my goodness, that was like 16, 17 years 15, ago now. Yeah. 96. Yeah. And man, I started hitting Lower Broadway and all the honky tonks, man, just trying trying to, earn my stripes, so to speak, in barroom boot camp.
Yeah, that's.
And
there are guys down on Lower Broadway right now.
I'll tell you, man, I'll be honest with you folks. If you ever get to Nashville, Tennessee, I play Monday nights down at Layla's Bluegrass Inn to this day.
That's right, down on Lower Broadway.
And man, you can't beat a good old honky-tonk experience when it comes to old country music. And
that's right.
And by the way, I'm playing with Doug Jernigan on Mondays, man, and Mike Oldham's great band down there from 4 to 8.
Yeah.
So if you ever make it to Nashville, folks, come see us.
Now, so when was your first big break? I know you were playing down there on Lower Broadway, and then.
Well, I'll tell you, man, my big break came when I was playing with Don Kelly's band at Robert's Western World.
Yep.
And as most of you know, Don has had he's had a lineage of just awesome guitar players from Troy Lancaster to Brent Mason, even back at the Stagecoach, And Gary Chapman walked in one night, and he was doing a show at the Ryman called Music for the Spirit.
Yeah.
And it was a gospel show, and of course I'm a Christian. I don't have a problem with that, but he said, "Man, I want to have you on Primetime Country." And of course, at the time, that was a big show on TNN.
Yep.
And but he said, "Man, I don't really have anything to interview you with, so why don't you come over, Sunday night to the Ryman and do a song?" And I said, "Well, goodness, man, that's all right. Mama seems to be a song that I love to do," but I said, "It's not really a gospel song."
Yeah.
He said, "That's all right. Do it anyway. I want people to hear you pick." And God love Gary, man. Of course, he had me over there, and we did the song. And, man, I tipped my hat at the end of the song, started to walk off, and Gary grabbed me by the back of the shirt and was like, "Kid, they're on their feet." And from that, my first time at the Ryman Auditorium, the Mother Church of Country Music, getting a standing ovation was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And so that was a wonderful talk point, on Primetime Country.
And you've had the wonderful opportunity to play with so many great people over the years.
Yes,
Ricky
sir.
Skaggs and Vince Gill.
Boy, I've played with Vince and
Steve Vai. And
and Sammy Hagar and Ted Nugent and George Clinton and P-Funk and my goodness, I've had a real blessed career, Steve. And honestly, man, it literally is. It's a blessing, man. It's to be able to come from such a small town with a sack full of dreams, wondering if I would ever really achieve any of them.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of goals and aspirations, and I just stayed true to what I believed in, and practiced like crazy, I must say, to develop my style. And it's so important to be an individual when you play guitar. Do it for the fun and for the love of it. But
well, let's talk about your style here a little bit. I know one of the things that is just so remarkable about your playing, Johnny, is you can wail on the country stuff, and you're equally as comfortable with rock and blues as well.
Yeah, man. Well, growing up, Steve, I thought at first that I wanted to become a session player.
Yeah.
And to be a session player, as you know, you need to be well versed. Yeah. And so I really spent a lot of time during my college days spending mom and dad's money on pedals and rack gear and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And really developing, learning all the Satriani records and Dream Theater and Steve Morse records and everything from Lee Ritenour to Chet Atkins to you name it, man. Yeah. I had it all and just really had a love for guitar in general. It didn't matter what style or genre, and I just found that I wanted to be, pretty well-rounded as a player, and of course, as you can see, I'm well-rounded as a person now. but no, I really just I love guitar so much, man, and there's no genre that I would ever turn down playing. It's just fun.
Let's talk about your technique for a little bit. Let's talk about the country technique.
Sure.
The chicken picking style.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing with the pick, but you're also kind of upstroking with your second and third finger.
Right.
Talk to us about that technique and demonstrate that a little bit for us.
Well, I think the biggest thing about chicken picking to me was, and what really turned me on to that style was bluegrass picking. I was a big Tony Rice fan.
Yeah.
And, as a kid, I got really into, having the old J45. I didn't have access to an electric guitar until I turned 13. Mm-hmm. So bluegrass was kind of the thing I just found that I really loved, the real articulate style of picking, and I love the excitement of it, the aggressiveness behind it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I thought, well, after learning a bunch of Tony Rice licks, I thought, well, why can't you bend those notes?
That's right.
And so I started taking simple bluegrass licks and adding starting to add steel bends to them. But I also love the sound of a steel guitar. Now, of course, this guitar has got a float and tremolo, so it's probably you'll hear it go out a little bit, but I used to do, bends behind the nut. And, to me, it was just, how can you be as graceful as a steel guitar player and make it cry? And you want to get the huff and snuffers in there. You want them in there, so you get that, that cry. So you have to be real smooth with your bends and precise, but you have to be really flexible with your vibrato style.
Now, there was an exercise that you had taught at the Guitar Gathering Conference, because Johnny had been with us at the Guitar Gathering Conference a couple of years.
Which was a blast, by the way.
Which is a great conference. We're looking forward to starting that back up again.
Yeah.
Anyway, you taught an exercise about, I think you were going down and bending up as you're going down in any particular key, you were kind of...
You're doing exactly that, Steve.
Something like that.
That's it. And essentially what that does is I started working with double stops initially, where you could take any scale,
Right, so that's just, he was in the key of A.
Key of A.
He just went down in thirds on the second and third string.
Yeah, basically, if you take a major scale and you just pull it out on the G string in a horizontal fashion, that's what I did. And I added a harmony line to that as I went down. Now, what I learned to do was say, okay, well, I want to sound like a steel guitar. So I learned how to grab the G and bend it down without affecting the B. And then I learned the second position's a half tone bend, then a whole tone, then a whole tone, half tone, whole tone, and then a whole tone. Now on the second fret, most people say, "Oh, that's too tough, man." No, it's not. You can do it.
What size strings?
I use 9 to 42 Elixir strings.
9 to 42 Elixirs. Yep.
Yeah, they're awesome strings, man. I've been with Elixir a long time, and they've treated me really great, man. What an awesome company, and long-lasting strings, folks, for guys who can kill strings in no time flat, like me. But I'll tell you, the steel bends, Steve, were really just a huge part of my playing. I've really, so to get back to what you were talking about the other style bend, is I said, well, if I can take that and actually add a lower note to that.
Okay.
So I just basically took the third below the root, did the same bend on the G that I was doing before, but I'm just adding a lower note. Half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, or whole tone, excuse me, and a whole.
And then put those into action. Put those in the middle of the song.
Well, if you could, if you were doing a... It just gives you a nice fluent, like a fluidity, if you will.
Yeah.
And it really, and of course, double stops are great, folks, when you're learning how to move around the fretboard.
Yeah.
If you're learning your notes, or if you're learning how to move on the fretboard and do it in a comfortable fashion. Of course, remember, I grew up legally blind, so I didn't have really anybody to help me with my chicken picking style, so I had to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And what I really found was, you can't be at a gig like this all the time, and of course, with me, I'd have to look that close.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be comfortable on a guitar, and comfort is the key.
Yeah.
When you can relax your mind, be free, and not have to look at the guitar at all times, you'll be amazed what you can pull out on a guitar. As well,
Yeah.
exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Now let's talk about, you've got, for the chicken picking stuff, you have to have pretty good thick nails.
Oh man, I tell you
So
what.
let's talk about nails
You
and
know
nail
what?
care here
I
for a
had
second.
emails after the last interview we did, Steve, about Van Halen. I have a friend of mine from Vietnam who actually used to do my nails at a place called Nail Concepts over off Charlotte Pike here in town.
Yep.
And his name was Van. So I used to tease him and call him Van Halen. And but I get acrylic fingernails put on my middle and ring finger, and they're pretty long right now. But
Just
man,
on those two fingers.
just on those two fingers, and I hold a flat pick, which, Brent Mason or Chet would have their index finger done as well and wear a thumb pick. But for me, being a grass player and wanting to play rock and other things, I will admit they're kind of hard to use when you want to finger tap, if you want to multi-tap.
Yeah.
So I still really don't even mess with that at this point.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of one finger tapping and that kind of thing when it comes to my rock style, because the nails do get in the way.
Well, let's talk about, let's kind of shift over to rock and blues and stuff like that.
Sure.
When you're doing tapping, just like I've seen you do that so many times where you're in the middle of a solo and then you suddenly just come over and start tapping.
Yeah.
Talk about that technique and illustrate that for us a little bit.
Well, I think one of the things that I wanted to do, and obviously country music evolved in the mid '90s to where, well, even earlier than that, to where it was becoming more rock oriented. And in my show and in what I wanted to do as a guitar artist was to bridge the two to where it was a very natural thing. So I could do my steel guitar bends but I thought, if I'm going to go on stage with Steve Vai or with Sammy Hagar or with whomever, what's going to make me different? What's going to make me, outside of my look, obviously, I'm just an old hairy-legged country guitar picker, but what was going to make me stand out as a player? And the playing style, if someone recorded a show and put it on YouTube or, what was going to make me as a player stand out over any other guitarist? And that was really the bridge between all the genres that I wanted to build on and also to have fun with. Obviously having fun is the biggest key to playing. So for me, what I would do is I would add distortion, which I will do right now. And then what I would do is take chicken picking licks. See, I'm still doing all my steel bends. Little touch of blues in there.
Yeah.
And then I use a lot of harmonic stuff, where you do the harmonic rolls. And I don't have enough distortion on my pedal to get that.
Talk about that. That was one of the questions that we had on the discussion board. I forgot who was asking that. Someone was asking that on the discussion board about that specific technique. Cap M from Florida said that one of Johnny's signature riffs is a fast scale using harmonics. On Johnny's first CD that I got of Johnny's, which is called Loud and Proud, which I would heartily recommend that you get. It's one of the best CDs I have in my collection, is that one. And I was playing it. I got tired of hearing acoustic players. This is about 2 months ago. We've had a run of acoustic players, and they've all been fantastic. And, we have them for a live lesson, and then I listened to them, all, for several weeks after that, and I just got tired of listening to the acoustic stuff, and I put in my Loud and Proud CD, and I thought, we need to have Johnny Hiland back. So, anyway, and one of the techniques that you used in that first song, or the second song, Groovin', is that harmonic, fast-scale harmonic run, and I admit, the first time I heard that, I thought, wow, I play guitar for a living, and I have no earthly idea how he just made that
You know what?
sound.
It's one of the simplest things in the world to do. And I actually found it by accident. I've heard Joe Satriani do it many, many times. And of course, I don't have my pedal really set up to, I don't know, maybe I can, let me see if I can reach this. Crank this distortion up a little. Distortion, that's what we country boys call it. But anyway, you get a good level of distortion on, and then what you do is you're basically, it's a trill or a roll, if you will, to where I'm just trilling off the second fret.
Okay.
The trick though is to get your pick turned sideways, and you're going to lay it down with more of your thumb touching the string than the pick. But what you're doing by doing that is creating a harmonic. And the more you slide it down the fretboard, the more scalular it sounds. And then I also use one that you roll from the 4 and 2, 4th fret, 2nd fret on the low E.
Yeah.
And if you roll it, you can get some crazy sounds with it, man. But I think what you're talking about too in grooving was I did this. What was the lick I did there?
Yeah.
I did that kind of.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of rolling. You know, I had a lot of trill licks and stuff to that song, but it is a song where you want to feel the bass and drums more. You know, so
Yeah.
I wanted to add harmonics and things that would kind of take your mind elsewhere and you know, allow the song to breathe a little. And
Good.
before I started to totally shred in the middle of it there. So
Good. Before we play one more song, let's give something else away.
Let's
I'm just
do that.
itching to give something else away. We are going to give away, what's my time to give away something? We're going to give away a Learn to Master Blues course. I did a blues course.
Mine.
You don't need it. I need to be buying your blues course. Goodness sake. Johnny's actually on this blues course. I did this course probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and just taught basic blues techniques and some licks and some tricks about blues guitar playing that I know. And then we interviewed a couple of fantastic players. Johnny Hiland is one of them. And we also interviewed Jack Pearson from the Allman Brothers. And Jack's been a good friend to us, and you've been a wonderful friend to us. And so anyway, someone's going to win this. The winner of this is Black Toe. Black Toe. Wow, that sounds painful. That sounds horrible.
I got one too. I'll take my boot off and show you.
Black Toe, you've won this. We'll get Johnny, and I'll sign it too on the way before we're done for tonight. All right. Since we're kind of in a blues mode, let's just kind of do a slow blues maybe in E.
Oh, you got it, brother.
Beautiful, beautiful,
That was fun, man.
wonderful, man. I would love to just keep on playing, but I think we need to keep on with our show. Fantastic. Let's give away something else.
Sure.
One of the cables that, or I was asking Johnny about some of the gear that he uses. I know we've got a lot of questions about some of the things that Johnny uses, so let's talk about that. One of the things that he had turned me on to is a great company, Analysis Plus. How'd you come in contact with Analysis Plus?
You know, man, it's been so many years ago that I really don't recall. I know I had heard about them, and I believe I met Mark Markel at a NAMM show.
Yeah.
And when I tried his cables, man, I was completely floored. I guess when you run a bunch of pedals like I do, and of course I see you have a pretty stout board there yourself. Once you start running a bunch of pedals, signal is massive.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to keeping your sound and your tone as true and clean as you can.
Yeah.
So cables are important.
Yeah.
And with having bad eyes, I have really sensitive ears.
Yeah.
And I get really, there's stories of people being able to hear when batteries go dead in pedals. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
I get really, I get bad about stuff like that,
Yeah.
man. And so when I got turned on to Analysis Plus, I was even shocked to find that even their connection cables, just a little pedal cables,
Yeah.
were, man, just totally helped my tone so much.
Yeah.
And that, along with the ISP decimator, which is a pedal that I use and will absolutely swear by. Everybody needs
Yeah.
one that has a pedal board.
Yeah.
There is no sound, and it's not a gate to where it cuts your tone off.
Yeah.
I can ring my guitar and it'll sustain as long as I want it to without cutting anything off.
Yeah.
And the decay will be natural.
Yeah.
And this pedal is a one knob pedal. Anybody can use it. It's easy. You just turn it to where you want your, where you want the decay of it to be.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it doesn't gate your sound. It doesn't chop anything off.
Yeah.
And you can run as loud a distortion as you want. And it's an amazing pedal. So the ISP decimator, along with the cables, man, it's unbelievable.
The good folks, I contacted the good folks at Analysis Plus, and they gave us a couple of cables to give away. We're going to give away one tonight and another one in another live lesson coming up. But this is it. It is a pretty hefty cable. It is a 15-foot cable, about as high end of a guitar cable as you can get. Money
It truly
can buy.
is.
The winner of this cable is Owen B59. Owen B59.
Congratulations.
So, Owen, go ahead and email us at service@legacylearningsystems.com and send us all of the winners. Send us your mailing address, phone number, things like that, and we will get those out to you. Let's take a couple of questions. We had a couple come in on the discussion board.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get back to the one. PRZ from Lugano, Switzerland.
Wow.
Says,
Hello, Switzerland.
Switzerland. PRZ, well, it's got to be like 2 in the morning where you are. What are you
My
watching
goodness.
us for? Says, his question is, can you beg Johnny to play some blues rhythm for us and explain some of the comping figures that you're using? So this is the rhythm playing. This is not the soloing techniques, but there's a whole art to rhythm comping.
Well, you know what, man? I must confess, a lot of the rhythmic things that I do in my blues playing come from Western swing.
Really?
Truly. And that's where that mixture comes in, that blend, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I stole a lot of my, to me, starting out, blues was a basic, chunky A rhythm. And But when I started adding, different, and like passing tones, makes a big difference. So the rhythmic thing is, you know, if you basically took this distortion off and heard. But a lot of that I learned from playing Chet stuff and from playing Western swing. So steal from what you can, folks.
Yeah, and you're just taking like a chord form, and then you're just noodling around. A lot of what you seem to be doing there is just taking parts of that chord,
Right.
little double stops, and moving around.
Well, you know, take for an example a jazz comp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a jazz player, you're comping, and the bass line is important.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing with the blues. You know, so it's still walking the bass and keeping the bass a constant thing. And then, as Steve said, you can move double stops and different licks around, you know, in a chordal fashion,
Yep.
and make it fun for yourself. But thank you for the question, and I hope that certainly helped out.
Let's see. See if I can pull up this question here. Sean53 asks, Johnny, how do you approach mixing the major and minor pentatonics?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, there you go. That's a quick answer to that one.
You know, honestly, I'm not much of a theory buff when it comes to feel of playing. Mm-hmm. You know, I play what feels good and what sounds good, and obviously I think when it comes to playing blues scales or mixing major and minor pentatonics, you know, it really depends on the song and the situation. You know, I really don't know how to properly answer that question for you, just, you know, on a one-on-one setting, unless we were actually jamming together. So what I will do to you, who was the question from?
Sean53.
Sean, if you ever get to Nashville, buddy, look me up, and we'll sit and pick, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, pal. I mean that.
I got a question just for me. A lot of times we'll be in the middle, like it happened again. We were doing the blues stuff in the intro part of it,
Right.
And you're playing normal stuff, and then suddenly it's like you shift into overdrive, and you're doing kind of almost a double time lick. You're using your fingers. You're doing a little bit of kind of a chicken picking, but it's blazingly fast on your fretting hand. Can you talk about that technique?
Well, you know, it's amazing, man, for me to you know, it's one of my favorite topics, and I know. You know, I'm 37 now, Steve. I'm getting older.
37, come on.
Yeah, buddy.
You're just a young thing.
Well, no, man. I'm getting a cane next week. It's on order. But no, actually, I moved to town at 21, and to me back then, being as technical as possible and how fast can you play meant something.
Yeah.
Nowadays, to me, it's all about what am I going to say when I create a solo? What am I saying?
That's right.
And how much feel can I pour into it? How much soul can I give to the audience?
Yeah.
And things change as you get older. I know I used to get so mad when people would say, "Hey, kid, I can't wait to hear you when you're 40." And I was going, "Well, gosh, what about my playing now, man? I'm working so hard, you know." And it used to kind of offend me. But now at 37, I look back at myself at 21 and go, you know, man, just totally a different mindset, different growth, you know, obviously over the years I've grown as a player and learned what's really important.
It's not all about
but
technique.
Danny Gatton has been my biggest hero throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
And Danny had this way of playing this, you know, mesmerizing stuff, man. You'd watch him and you'd think, oh my goodness, he's going to burn. Oh no, he's going to crash. Wow. Man, did you see that? How did he do that? You know? And to me, I still love to use elements of that. Even if we're playing something slow or mid-tempo, I still love to throw some frill and thrill in there, you know. But to me, the hybrid style really helps with doing just that. So for me, I'm using Jimmy Bryant's another great one too. He had a lot of aggressive licks, and one of Jimmy's I love. And from that lick. But then he also had this thing where he would do some that kind of
move. So you're keeping one note?
Yeah, you're keeping a...
Is that the fifth? You're keeping the fifth?
Yeah, you're sliding from the fifth to the flat five, back in, and then you're playing a major scale behind it. With a flat five again. I love dissonance. No, I'm teasing. I'm sorry.
So he's in the key of D there, and he's up at the, what is that, the 7th position?
7th fret, yeah.
And you have the A. You're going back and forth between the A and the A flat there, and then you're just adding these other notes in there. I don't know if I can fake it here.
Well, think of your major scale out of D in that position.
Something like that.
It's important that you get that in between. If you look at the major scale, this right there in front of you, and on the 7th fret, then just make sure that each time the clarity comes within that 5 and flat 5. So you.
All of you out there who are wrestling with the theory stuff and you think, I don't need to know major scales. These guys don't know that stuff. Let me tell you, only folks who actually don't play on bandstands think that theory is not important. It's the guys that are actually really doing it that need to know scales and how these chord tones are working with each other and things like that.
I may not be the most versed in it as far as really, as far as explaining it is concerned, because a lot of it I learned on my own.
Yeah.
But when it comes to feel, and like the question about the major and minor pentatonics, yes, I know I go in and out of those all the time.
Yeah.
But as far as hey, trust me, I will think about that. Come to Nashville, come visit me. I'll have Kimmy cook. We'll have a big time, man. But man, I really thank you for the questions, man. And goodness, Steve, you're awesome, brother.
Let's talk about your wah pedal. The good folks at Gig Effects. I had been talking with Susie out there at Gig Effects. And Johnny had turned me on to this, had recommended I check out the Johnny Hiland signature wah pedal. And I thought, well, a wah pedal is a wah pedal. And I got on their website and looked at some of the sound samples from that thing, and that is about the best stinking wah pedal I think I've ever heard.
You know, man, when Jeff Pershawn, the owner of Gig Effects, approached me to do a Johnny Hiland signature wah, he had a pedal out called the Kilowatt. Which was a white wah, exactly like this one. But I had been using the Kilowatt at the time, and I told him, I said, man, there's just small parameters that I would change in the Kilowatt.
Yeah.
The actual sweep of the wah, how it, and folks, being a legally blind guy on stage, it's hard to find, when you're hitting a wah pedal and you have to find the click point as you step on it.
Yeah.
So to have a pedal that I'm able to just step on, and the minute I push it, a big blue light comes on and lets me know that it's happening. And as you can hear, my amp's actually making but right to the right of my foot, there's a big blue light. So the minute I step on it, it's on. And you can hear there's a real cool wah effect, and it actually it'll hang with me as much as I want. So it's got a real cool vibey sound to it. Now, I did, on my Johnny Hiland model, I changed the actual rate of the sweep. But there are so many different functions to this pedal, so
Yeah.
Steve, if you don't mind, man, I'm going to just pick this thing up.
Yeah.
If that's at all possible.
It's a rather unique looking pedal.
Yes, it is.
It's got 2 knobs on it, so it's rather simple, which I like. It's got 2 knobs on it, but it has 4 different functions with the wah. So you have kind of an auto wah part of it.
Right.
Let me make sure I get this right. It's got the regular classic sort of
your classic wah is what I was
vintage
just
wah.
using. Yep, your vintage wah.
Then you have an extended filter range setting, and then you have an envelope wah. So it's actually 4 different types of wah sounds you can get with that pedal.
Well, the second one I like to call the boost wah, where it gets real. So if you just turn the knob to one click, and then you can hear the movement of it is real defined.
Yeah.
Wow! I mean, it'll really punch at you. So, and of course, you then click it one more time.
I can hold it if you want to play.
You might want to. Now, this is actually where you bring this knob in, and it's actually wide open right now. But see, Steve's moving it, but it's not doing anything. Why?
Oh, that's auto wah. Sorry,
Because it's autoing. It's following what I'm playing and how hard I'm hitting. So if it's not doing anything. Well, actually, because we don't have it engaged.
sorry.
Right? So it sounds nice and thick. But if I hit the note harder, so the harder you hit the note, the more punchy it'll get, and I have a blast with that, man.
Cool.
So, and then we go over to the last setting, which is now your pulsating.
Yeah.
Now, the knob here slows it down and speeds it up. But you can have a blast. Like, for any of you fans out there of U2 that want to kind of get the wah sound of like the Octoon Baby thing,
Yep.
you know, this pedal virtually does, you know, amazing things, and I love it in the studio. I use it live, and I wanted to bring a brand new one in here. This is actually one of the prototypes, Steve. It's one of the original.
The reason why we're talking about this, we're going to give one of these away. So one of you lucky guys or gals. Why do we think that guitar players are guys? I don't know. There needs to be more. There's nothing cooler than a girl guitar player.
That's right.
I take that back. A girl bass player. That is absolutely the coolest. A girl bass player. That is the coolest. Anyway, so we're going to give one of these away. So the winner of our wah pedal is, I don't know yet. It's coming. So when it gets announced to me, I will let you know. While we're talking about the wah, we also made that every month I try and do resources for for all you folks. It's got to be really fun. The first month we did Greg Voros and we talked about guitar care. We offered some of the Professor Green stuff. Last month we did the Pete Huttlinger stuff. I think this is fun. To me, it's just hilarious fun that I can actually just think up ideas of what would be great resources, and then the other guys take it and they work out all the deals and the pages and all that sort of stuff that I don't care about, and they work it all out, and we're able to make it available. This time we have our March resources, and we offered, and I thought, oh, this would be great. So we contacted Gig Effects. We worked out arrangement with them so you can get actually the Johnny Hiland wah pedal, his signature wah pedal, and since Johnny's a great friend of ours, we are going to get Johnny, he has graciously offered to autograph them. So, and I think there's only like 50 that the company has. So we've already sold, I think, 4 of them this afternoon. So if you're interested in one of these pedals and actually having it autographed by Johnny, you can go to our March Resources, Blues Guitar Resources page and click on that, and you can get that pedal. Hey, and there's only 50. When they're gone, they're gone.
Awesome pedal, folks.
So it's a great pedal. Anyway, but somebody's going to win that tonight, and the winner of this is
Drum roll.
Skinny Harp Hopkins. Skinny Harp Hopkins, you have just won yourself an autographed Johnny Hiland signature wah pedal. Man, we are still giving away stuff. This is a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
While I'm talking about the resources, so we offered, I thought it'd be great if we get the wah pedal. So we were able to get the wah pedal. So that is in there. The second thing that we offered is I've never really found a good supplier for blues jam tracks. And it's important to learn how to play to be able to have players to play with. Now, you may be sitting in your house somewhere and you not really have a backup band that you could go and jam with or musicians you can play with. So that's where a good track, a good jam track can come into play. I know I spent a lot of time in my teenage years with little jazz jam tracks and things like that, and that helps you learn how to play. It helps you work out a solo. It helps you work out an idea. Oh, that worked. That didn't. You know, and you kind of start learning in your mind, this
Absolutely.
lick works over this chord progression, this one doesn't. And you start filtering through, and you build that up time after time, and you practice with it, and you start making better choices with your soloing, and that's how you get to be a better solo. You don't just wake up one day and a shaft of light hits you on the head and you're a great soloist. You spend a lot of time. Johnny's fabulous, but there are years
Oh, yeah.
that he spent in his room messing around with ideas,
Oh, yeah.
figuring out how to play, figuring out what to play. Jam tracks are a great way to help you in that. We have our good friends over at Chris Cutler and the Coffee Break Grooves, and they do great smooth jazz tracks, but I wanted to offer blues tracks. So I looked around and looked at a ton of these things, and they all kind of sound half cheesy with MIDI keyboards and things like that don't sound like a band. Came across one by a guy, Peter Vogel, out of Atlanta, and Peter's tracks use real musicians and with great guitar grooves on them. So, and there are several in this series. I picked the two ones that had Peter on them, and that were great. So we've got two of these jam tracks, and then there was a third CD and book that is blues standards. So it has jam tracks for, Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan and The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King, songs that you would know. So anyway, we bundled all three of those together, and that is one of the things in the resources as well. And then we also have the blues course and different combinations of all those things. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Fabian, maybe you can put up the link for that sort of stuff. All right, that's enough of all of my talking. Here is what those look like, by the way. The jam tracks, I can heartily recommend these because I've listened to them. I bought them, and I like them. They're good stuff. So if you're interested in learning how to play blues and you don't have your own backup band, and who does, unless you're Johnny Hiland.
Yeah, I got a backup band. I sure do.
Then get some tracks and learn how to work with them. And they have a bunch of different styles. Here's the Blues Standards book, and it has the music and the chords used and sample licks and all kinds of fun stuff. So I have no problems recommending it because it's a great resource. Let's give away one more thing while I'm here because we're on the home stretch here. We're going to give away another one of Johnny's CDs. This is the All Fired Up CD, Johnny's latest project. That is going to MC Delaware. MC Delaware, you have just won yourself a great CD.
Congrats.
All right. Now, we only have one more thing to give away in our giveaway explosion night, and that is the guitar, which we're going to give away that in a minute. Let's take another question. Do we have another question from the chat coming up? While they're getting that up for me, let me make a couple of last-minute announcements, and then we'll give away the guitar and play a last closing number. Our newsletter came out today, the Learn to Master Guitar monthly newsletter. I have a video tip in there about creating great-sounding chord parts using chords that you're already familiar with. We've got other tips and things in there. Talks about the sale, talks about Johnny. If you're not getting our newsletter, there are lots of tips in there. There's a page, Fabian, maybe you can put up that link that you can go to and get our newsletter. So if you haven't gotten our newsletter, check it out. It's great, and we have an archive of all the old ones as well with all of the videos and things that we do. Cool. The next live lesson after this one is going to be March 20th, and we're going to be talking about advanced strumming. We'll be back on acoustic for that lesson, and I'll be talking about some strumming techniques, not your basic stuff, but some stuff that's a little bit more advanced. Today, we're talking about blues. We're talking a lot about blues licks and things like that. That's around I think it's session 13 in the Learn and Master Guitar course, the Gibson's Learn and Master Guitar course that I did. So if you're around that area, then hopefully this lesson is helpful to you. If you're not quite there yet, then one of the reasons why I like bringing in guests is that it inspires you. It makes you look at that and think, wow, I'd love to be able to do that. That is the secret. That's the secret to guitar playing, is sitting back and watching somebody better than you and great and going, man, I'd give my right arm to be able to do that. Of course, you couldn't do that. But
no, that would hurt, too.
But you look at players. I know you are the same way. Look at these great players, Ricky Skaggs, Steve Warner.
Absolutely, man.
And you learn from these guys.
So many heroes.
So many guitar heroes. Anyway. All right. Well, let's play. No, let's not. Let's give away the guitar.
Let's do that, man. That'll be fun.
Let's give away the guitar. Let me see if I can get up here. Oh, we do have a student question. CPC Rock says, do you like maple or rosewood for your fretboard?
Actually, I prefer maple. And actually, I'm holding a beautiful Ernie Ball silhouette here. This is my guitar of choice these days. And Ernie Ball has been super, super kind to me. I'm proud to be endorsing these guitars. And man, I'll be honest with you. Out of any guitar I've ever owned, this guitar has been my favorite. And I have my new signature Johnny pickups with David Allen. For those of you who are looking for a new set of pickups for your guitar, David Allen makes some wonderful pickups. And of course, I prefer maple necks with actual big dots. Ernie Ball guitar they come with normal, smaller dots. Yeah. And Ernie Ball made this guitar for me with the big dots. And of course, a dot on the first fret to pay homage to Danny Gatton. So, thank you for your question. And yes, maple is my choice. Thank you.
Epiphone guitars. This is an Epiphone Les Paul player pack that we're giving away. Maybe we can even coax Johnny into playing a lick or two on this. Well, you're all strapped up with the other one. If you're interested in having Johnny sign this guitar while we're here, let us know, whoever wins this. So, and this comes with an amp and strap and strings and stuff like that, kind of a player pack. So it's a great looking Epiphone Les Paul. And the winner of this is Wendy Klee. Wendy K. Lee. Wendy K. Lee, you just won yourself an Epiphone guitar player pack.
Right on.
And Wendy, if you do want Johnny to sign it, let us know in the chat so that we can get him to sign it before he goes tonight.
That's beautiful. That's really nice. Congratulations.
Great guitar. Congratulations, Wendy.
Awesome.
Let's see. We had one more guitar question here. Jerome LMG says, Johnny, why you... it's just why you pick the guitar that you use, and we already talked about that, and what's its setup. Do you like your...
I like my action pretty low,
yeah.
And of course I use 9 to 42 Elixir strings, so they're pretty slinky feeling, and of course the David Allen pickups for me. I know a lot of people saw me playing PRS before with humbuckers, and we do have Johnny Hiland humbuckers, which actually sound very true to a Telecaster, believe it or not, with David Allen, and but these are my new dual blade pickups, and so I get more of a Telecaster sound, more of the country twang tone. But I'll be honest with you, man. This is literally my favorite guitar. The knobs are in the right spot, and I have when you have steak fries for fingers like I do, you got to find that perfect fit. So.
Let's talk about that for a second. Let me just show you something. All of you guys out there that think, as you're starting to play, and it happens with everyone, is you're just starting to learn how to play and you're trying to get your fingers to fit in the right spots, and you think, oh my goodness, I wanted to be a guitar player, but I can't be a guitar player because my fingers are too fat. How many of you have said that to yourself? I'm trying to get my finger in here, but it touches the other fingers around it. I guess there's some people in the world that are guitar players and some people that aren't, and I guess I'm not. Let me show you. Johnny's hand is no bigger than my hand.
Nope.
In fact, maybe even a little smaller.
Yeah.
And his fingers are plenty thick, yet he's able to dance around on the fretboard with the grace of an Olympic gymnast.
My goodness, man. Tally-ho, brother. Meet you at the gym after we're done. No, you know what, man? It's funny. I've had a lot of questions about my fingers. and being able to move fast.
Yeah.
And what I say is, I used to lift weights when I was younger, still do to this day. And my dad always used to say, an Olympic lifter, when you do what they call a clean jerk, being smaller, you don't have to lift the weight as far. So you're being a shorter guy actually helps you.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, having shorter fingers, which I do, I have short fingers, and a real big palm area, I'm able to grab onto the guitar really well, but my fingers aren't really long and bony.
Yeah.
So I'm able to kind of lay them down, and everything is real comfortable for me.
Yeah.
Because I really don't have really long fingers.
Yeah.
So, but you know what, folks, really, it doesn't matter about your fingers. You can, whether you have short, stubby fingers like I do, or you have big, long fingers, you know what, it's all about the passion and the love behind the guitar, man.
If you want to learn how to play, your fingers will find a way to do it.
They will do it. That's right.
We sat here 2 months ago and looked at Phil Kagi, who was missing a finger. And I'll take Phil Kagi. If I could miss a finger and play like Phil Kagi, I can't play like him, and I've got all my fingers. If you've got the passion and you love to play and you want to learn how to play, your fingers will find a way, and you just keep at it till you learn.
But I think, Steve, you just said the key. You have to keep at it.
Yeah.
I will actually sit here and take my hats off to Steve and everyone here at Legacy, because what you guys provide for these folks through the system and of course, actually attending your seminar and playing for it. This is an amazing group of folks here. And I'll tell you, they do have the passion for guitar just as much as I do, or any other artist that comes in here. And if you have the passion to play guitar, you're obviously in the right place.
That's right.
And you have the right tools offered by Legacy to get that job done.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to death to be a part, man. I know it's been a real pleasure for me to get to know you, Steve, and man, what an awesome guitar player. So everybody around the world that's watching this, give Steve a big round of applause. He deserves it.
We can have a cyber clap. So
That's
everybody,
right.
we could have a cyber round of applause here.
That's right. But no, I really commend you guys, man, for what you do, and just know that you'll always have my support, man. I'm so blessed to be here.
Well, thank you all for being a part of tonight. We're going to play one more tune for you. I'd like to thank those that are involved in making these events happen from our, and I'm going to forget some folks. Let me just, I'd like to thank John, our producer. Fabian, I want to thank you. Fabian's our student of the month, and Fabian is our moderator, and he gets paid exorbitant salaries to do it. No, he gets nothing for doing this, and yet he's faithful with it every week. Thank you so much, Fabian. Thanks, John and Paul, our producers, for being here. Thanks to Gibson. Thanks to Gig Effects for giving us their pedals. Thanks to Analysis Plus and for letting us give away for donating their stuff so we can give those away. I love it. I think it's all part of learning. All right, that's all of my stuff. Let's play one more tune.
Sure, man.
And
what's your pleasure?
Get out of here. Maybe we could do something in G. Let's do something in G, something fast. Yeah, we've been in A, we've been in E. Let's do something in G. One, two, three. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next time.
God bless y'all.